I'd like to introduce you to Konstantinos, and he is a faculty manager for Roehampton. So welcome, Konstantinos. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Pearl. It's a pleasure to be part of this excellent webinar, and I hope we manage to showcase some of the great advantages of being a student for the online programs of the University of Roehampton through the lens of the faculty.
Absolutely, I'm sure we will. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, I know we're going to get to know you and your role as a faculty manager as well as an instructor a little bit more in depth as we go through the webinar, but maybe just give us a quick introduction of yourself.
Okay, my pleasure. Well, currently I reside in Greece, although I have been visiting and staying in various countries throughout my life. Well, I prefer the sun than the mood weather of Britain. So I spend most of my time currently teaching and but also maintaining activity in the private sector, in professional activities. So it's interesting to see how the two come together, both in research but also in teaching. I'm with the University of Roehampton a little bit more than a year, actually having helped to shape most of the quality procedures that are now in place. And as you said, the faculty manager of the online programs in the management discipline. There are many things that have happened during the last year and a half in Roehampton, the University of Roehampton, and I have really the pleasure of having helped in their shaping. And I look forward in future activities, in future programs, and in welcoming even more students in coming years.
Absolutely, it's a very exciting university to be part of right now. It's lots of new programs and new exciting times. So we're going to get to know you, as I said, a little bit better through the webinar. And yeah, so what are we going to cover today? For those of you listening, we're going to cover a number of different areas. So we're going to have a look at who are instructors, so who teach the Roehampton online programs. We're going to get to know Dr. Samiotis a little bit better. He's going to talk about his background, how he came to be faculty manager as well as instructor on these programs. Then we're going to have a look at also who are our students. And also during this webinar, we're going to have a bit of a talk around the research that Konstantinos does and how he's involved in terms of industry. At the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A. And this really is your opportunity to ask your questions to Konstantinos. So do take that opportunity, and we look forward to an interesting discussion with your questions later on. So let's get started. So can you tell us a little bit more about the instructors that teach on these online programs?
Sure, Pearl. Before answering this, I would like to make something a bit clearer. Many people, many prospective students have their own doubts about the comparison between traditional and online education. There's nothing to envy in between them. The online education, having spent actually my last 3 years working in it, I can submit that in some cases it can be even more rigorous than traditional educational systems, the ones that where students go into class. That, of course, if you add all the benefits of studying online, that makes it a great opportunity that many students have nowadays, which was not offered a few years ago. So that comes and relates also to how we employ our faculty. Behind Roehampton, as you all know, it's a laureate online education, which is a leader provider of online services in education. So as a leader in this field, Laureate is employing and sourcing excellent people for teaching, but also for management. And I'm really privileged to be part of that community, of that group of people acting as faculty and faculty manager. Now, our programs, as I said in the beginning, already run for a year and a half, and even someone might think that this is an early, let's say, child. We feel that we are more mature than anyone else, and this is part of our achievement and success in bringing aboard faculty from all various places around the world, from prestigious universities. We have to say that. We have to say that even sometimes we cannot name it, but we know it, that our faculty members, our instructors, come and share careers between online world and physical, traditional world. So all our faculty have permanent positions in big universities like Brunel University, or other universities in Germany, in Greece, in Qatar, or in the States. So we are talking about a multi-brand collection of instructors gathered together under the umbrella of the University of Roehampton. All this faculty try to share their life, as I also do myself, between academia and business. So we see very active researchers and professors with leading publications in journals like Information Systems Journal or International Journal of Sustainable Strategic Management, really strong journals with high impact in society and in research world. But we also see faculty members, instructors, having their own companies, working professionally or managerially or even as consultants in big firms. So really, I can really say that our faculty can instill the best of academia and the best of business inside the programs. And this, I feel, is a great advantage of the University of Roehampton online programs. There is no limitation of who can be part of that community, as long as he or she meets the quality criteria that we have set. And to say something more, it's not just laureate who sets the standards. It's also the University of Roehampton who sets extremely high standards in the selection of instructors. So here we see, for example, I can give you an example, a practical example. Someone whom laureate can think of, okay, he's a good faculty. The university might not think of a good faculty. So we have to merge the quality requirements of British educational system, but also the strong experience of laureate in online education. Online education is not demanding only for students, it's also demanding for faculty. And as I said, they have to share many things while they are teaching. They have to share, as you will, as students, time among their families, among their university, among their business. And we want the most competent instructors to do so. So I think the mix of our faculty is capable of sustaining a learning model that can help our students reach their goals more efficiently and more effectively.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like there's a real process in terms of getting the faculty on board, and that you consider quite a lot of different aspects of an individual, whether or not they're right to be a faculty. And so, as the teaching faculty member of the, you're also a faculty manager. Can you tell us more about your role as a faculty manager and the interaction that you have with that team of faculty that you're talking about?
Sure. Well, the faculty manager is a position that you would encounter in online education more than you would encounter in traditional universities. Well, in a traditional university, at least in Britain, most professor or academic staff will have their own office, although they will never show up in their offices. Well, in the online education, we might be living across the world, but someone has to make sure that is behind his screen when he has to. So my first role is that as a faculty manager is to know what my faculty, my instructors are doing at every moment, and that is checking their classes, checking how they interact with their students, but also helping them develop in the direction of becoming more effective online faculty. So it's not that we bring faculty on board and let them do their own part, as it happens in most universities, in traditional universities. We bring instructors on board, we develop them, we educate them, we train them regularly, so they can they can keep up essentially with the development, the technological development in the online delivery, with the learning model development that Laureate and University of Roehampton develops gradually, but also the needs and the problems that our students might have and how we can cope with them. So my role is definitely a quality gatekeeper, I would say, both in the eyes of the university but also of Laureate, while at the same time acting as a community manager. As I said, we have to make that community culture evident, not so much for the student, but also for ourselves as faculty. So we develop discussions, online discussions. We have our own social space for our faculty, let alone that there is another social space for students, and I will come back to this later in the webinar. But as far as the faculty instructors are concerned, we have our own place where we can exchange ideas and discuss for various topics. So this is one thing that I also try to coordinate, bring people together to discuss hot topics that are of concern either to us, to Laureate, to Roehampton, or to students. So
yeah. So there's a lot of collaboration going on there, and there's a lot of development as faculty. And as you say, it's an interesting point that someone doesn't just become faculty and then that's it. They are faculty and no one checks in with them again. So it's really about them developing as an online lecturer as well. And you mentioned quality, maintaining quality, but can you tell us a little bit more about what processes are in place to maintain that teaching quality, that high standard teaching quality that Roehampton is aiming for or providing?
Well, as it happens in life, the best judge of quality is our customer. So our students are the best evaluators of our work and of our existence. So you will see later, and we might have a chance to comment on some of the percentages of students' feedback. But we have some really incredible results as far as student satisfaction is concerned. That's really the outcome of our quality processes. For the quality processes themselves, there are a lot and various. First of all, there is Laureate's quality procedures, and that is checking and monitoring the faculty members, the instructors continuously throughout their teaching. After their teaching, there's always an assessment, a formal assessment. And 3 times a year, there is another comprehensive review of all instructors' work throughout the year. So to give you an example, a faculty member might have taught 5 courses, 5 modules in 1 year. He is being assessed at the end of every module, but at the end of the year, we perform another, let's say, level of scrutiny with a particular faculty member, so as to understand possible problems and elicit needs for further development. So no one essentially feels alone in this community. Everyone feels supported by me as faculty manager, but also our program director and other management staff of the university. That's one side, and if I have 1 more minute to say that Laureate Roehampton, the University of Roehampton, has also its own rules of maintaining quality. So besides our own assessment, we have university monitors who enter the classes and ensure that all the policies, the academic policies set out, are followed by our faculty. So there is actually no way that one can make a mistake during our teaching, and we try to be as rigorous as possible in this process.
Yeah, thanks for giving that introduction there and an overview of the types of instructors that are teaching with us. And so we're going to get to know you a bit more about you and your background. As you mentioned, there's a huge diverse background in all of our instructors who teach on our program, but you have a very interesting one, and you have a strong academic background as well as industry background. So can you kind of give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and an overview of your, how you've come to be a faculty and a faculty manager for Roehampton?
I take it as a compliment, Pearl, so thank you very much. To be honest, I feel that no one becomes part of a faculty team without a reason. As myself, as all other faculty members, did my PhD very early in my career, and that has been one of my drivers in pursuing an academic career, essentially. I have worked in prestigious universities like Aston Business School, but also University of Liverpool. But in my case, this didn't seem to suffice, at least in terms of satisfying my curiosity in life. So while doing teaching and academic research, I also pursued some engagement with professional activities. So I wanted to see actually how management works in practice. My background is in information technology. So this is essentially what has driven my curiosity. I wanted to see how people perceive information systems in real life. And this is where part of my research and interest reside, in the study of information technologies in innovation in firms. Apart from that, and studying, as I said, information technologies in real life, I also worked in big projects, in projects where innovative technologies were introduced in firms as a means of testing novelty, let's say, in information systems.
Yeah, so there's a few of these projects that you've been involved with on the screen now, and quite a few global projects, and contributed to different types of policy making. So we're going to get into those in a little bit more detail in the next slide. But can you give us an overview of why it's important for you to get involved in these kind of consultancy projects, and global projects that you've been involved with?
Sure. What I can say is that this more or less 15 years of business and academic career of mine has led me to various skills. And in those skills, not only are being reinforced in my management consulting practice, but also in my academic work. Just to give you some of the things that have given input into these skills. For example, I have been working with companies which would like to reorganize themselves, would like to have a new model of work, a new model, a change management, a change aspect, a change perspective implemented. This is a really tough process for many organizations. I have been part in organizations and have seen this endeavor become successful. So this is part of one of my areas where I have worked in helping organizations achieve performance requirements, performance aims through organizational development interventions. Other areas where I have worked and successfully and really have gained strong experience is through international, multicultural, innovative projects. I can name one. There should be approximately 7 to 8 of this project, mainly, primarily funded by the European Commission. The European Commission, for those who are not aware of, gives money to European international consortia to develop innovative technologies. Well, this is only one area where European Commission funds projects, but this has been my area. So, for example, Laboranova has been a multi-million project, approximately 10 million euro funding, where we have more than 16 partners working together in devising, let's say, how innovation happens collaboratively. You probably you studied it in your programs when you come on board, that open innovation is probably at its hype these days. What I mean is that essentially that companies do not innovate on their own. There are no secrets to maintain hidden. So companies had to find another way of dealing with the need of innovation as a basic engine. So open innovation is one aspect that Laboranova tackled. Another project that quite diverse from the ones that I have already mentioned is a grant offered to a consortium for the economic development of the Southern Africa. We actually given money to develop the Beira-Lobito corridor, the two ports in Africa, make an analysis, make a geographical analysis through appropriate GIS systems, geographical information systems, and help local communities and local government essentially to put that corridor back into operation. So you see involvement in projects with high impact, not only for research, but also for society and economy. And one more project that I would like to address in this realm is the one which had to do with policy making. So I have been involved. I have been the project manager of a project called Extend, which aimed at empowering the countries residing in Eastern Europe and Central Asia to become research active. Essentially, the European Commission wanted to see its neighboring countries being aligned with the countries that are part of the European Union. It was a very interesting project trying to infuse the European culture of ICT research, information communication technologies research, in countries with a very strong scientific background, but with a strong deficit in making their research explicit. And the result was quite impressive. We saw drastic increase of proposals submitted following the completion of this project, which was really encouraging for the project and the European Commission, which funded the project.
So there's really such a diverse types of projects that you're working on, and it's really interesting to hear, how global they are and how they have impact in different regions of the world. And there's a number of projects you're currently working on. These are 3 of them. Maybe you could just pick one of them and just tell us a little bit about a project you're currently working on.
Well, sure. I mean, you might think that the projects only have deliverables for their clients. Well, we as academics take the opportunity of working in industrial projects to deliver some research of high impact. So among the work that I have been doing, I would mention the one about managerial interpretations of knowledge management. This is actually a work that has happened in collaboration with the industry, with the banking sector, through the study of a knowledge management platform adoption process. We monitored how an organization adopted such a platform, what processes were involved in, and how people reacted in those changes. These are part of the topics, of course, that are not only in research, but are part of our modules. And these are things that our students will encounter and will have a chance to discuss in the class. So we are not keeping the research for ourselves. Our research is in tandem with the module syllabus and the state-of-the-art practices in management and in research.
Yeah, that's a really important point, actually, because as a faculty member, you're so actively involved with different projects, and the ability for that to come into the classroom and for your students to be part of that and understand the different kind of active projects, the real-life situations that you as faculty are all studying. It must be quite interesting for students to be aware of and to be included in. So, I mean, that brings me to my next question, which is, why do you believe it's important for faculty to be actively publishing and to be actually involved, like the way you are?
Well, first of all, it's an imperative from the British educational system and the University of Roehampton for its all faculty to be active in research active in the last 5 years. Being research active doesn't mean that you are in a research laboratory working on your next experiment. Research active means that you are making research that is influential to society, economy, to students. We should, and we put emphasis on the explicit character of our faculty, how they communicate, and what type of skill they have to express and transfer findings from their own research in their teaching and in the class. So essentially, it's one of the strongest criteria that we have before employing a faculty for Roehampton.
Thanks, Konstantinos. So it's been really interesting getting to know about you and your background, and a little bit more about the background of the rest of our faculty as well. And so we're now going to move on to kind of have a bit of understanding about who are our students. And this is, for a lot of people listening, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of students the Roehampton program attracts. So from your perspective as a faculty and also someone who teaches within the classroom, And what kind of student does the Roehampton online programs attract?
Well, I haven't met all of the students that Roehampton has taken on board in the last year.
Oh, Konstantinos, we've just lost you, so just bear with just 1 second, and hopefully his internet connection will return. So just in the meantime, whilst we get his connection back, just have a look at the slide, and you can see that our students very much come from all over the world. They come from 80 countries. They have very different variation in age, so really attracting different. Oh, do we have you back, Kostas? Konstantinos, thank you. Yeah, we just, the internet seemed to just have paused slightly. So I was just giving a quick overview of the information that we had on the slide, but maybe you can continue with what you were saying.
I would like to say that there is no limitation or distinction among our students. We have students from UK, Nigeria, Qatar, Brazil, United Arab Emirates, Ghana, from all over, really from all over the world, and that is what makes a great experience to be part of the online programs of the University of Roehampton. As far as the profile of the students, besides their demographic characteristics, I think we, and personally, during my teaching, I have seen students being strongly engaged with the real practice, the industrial practice. So we see a lot of people working in their companies, trying to resolve some of the problems that they encounter inside the class, and this is something which is unique. And to be honest, I have not seen it as strong as in other universities. So we see people bringing their own situations and trying to resolve the problems in collaboration with the other students. There's no age limitation either. Of course, the 30s seems to be an area where people are quite conscious about what they want to do and achieve. But we have younger people, but also more mature people that decide to study with us. So it's important for us to bring everyone who is genuinely interested in learning, and this is the message that I would like to transfer to everyone. Our learning is our driving force. We try to enjoy in the class. We try to enjoy through the programs and primarily have fun.
Absolutely. And one of the students that you've actually taught within your classroom is Soji from Lagos in Nigeria. And you want to kind of use him as a bit of an example of the types of students that study with us. So can you tell us a little bit more about him and his process in becoming an online student, and how you've seen him develop within the online classroom?
Well, I'm very proud for Soji to start with, and I think all instructors are proud for their students when they see them progress and perform well, either in their own class or in coming in other classes. Well, I have the privilege of being able to see the progress of the students as a faculty manager. So not everybody can actually see how a student progresses from one module to another. So for me, Soji is an example of a student who started low in his life, being a software engineer, but aiming high. And I think his aims will move higher after he graduates from his online program. He is attending the Master of Science in Information Systems. He has been a student of mine in the module called the IS function, and he's about to become my student again in the module called Innovative Technologies. Now, giving you now some sort of feeling of how contemporary and how modern our programs is. But we are dealing and tackling information systems management field through courses like innovative technologies or strategic information systems, really state-of-the-art aspects in the field of information systems. So Soji, back to Soji. He has been an excellent collaborator. He has been an excellent player in the class. He has shared experiences. He has submitted and taken part in all class activities quite enthusiastically, and this is something we really appreciate as instructors. But not just us, also his colleagues do appreciate. I was really fascinated by the sense of community among students. UK students with Nigerian students and Brazilian students all seem to be living the same dream in the class, like they were all in the same place, even though many thousands of miles kept them apart. Soji is also an example of how one student can bring his experience within the class. He has submitted a final project using experience that he has gained from working in his own in the software company in collaboration with a local hospital. So some of the challenges that he encountered in this project, he took a step back and contemplated on them using our theories. So I think he made a great effort to demonstrate how theory and practice can actually work together. I certainly look forward to see how he has matured in this field, in his studies, in his academic skills in the next module, starting tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. It must be really nice for you to see that progression with your students, especially if you teach a few different modules, then you can really see how people go forward. And that brings that kind of question to, how do you interact with the students in the classroom? How can students get in contact with you?
Well, our class is not static. Our class is dynamic. In some cases, I would use a research term. They are socially constructed. We are not confined by the technology itself. So we can develop discussions. We can exchange messages with our students, regardless of the structure that already resides in terms of content. So we can use a paper that is not part of the syllabus to start a new discussion. We also provide feedback. That's a continuous process. We are very close to our students and to their progress. As you know, the University of Roehampton does not have, let's say, summative assessments during the term, but only at the end of the module. Still, we feel that our students need to know how they perform. So we have various novelties in this direction, and one of them is what we call as indicative grades. So while students are submitting their assignment in the course of the module, we tell them where they stand. Are they standing in the 50, in the 60, the 70, in the 90% grade out of 100, so that they know what they have to do. Do they have to work harder? Certainly not settling with the current performance, but it's important for them to know where they stand. And we do whatever it's possible, both through qualitative techniques, but also quantitative techniques like the one I described, to pass them the message of where they stand as a performance. Our faculty might be, as I said, might have time for everything, but above all, they have time for the students' queries. So we expect, and there is no deviation from this rule from anyone, that all queries from our students are responded within 12 to 24 hours. And we have seen that happening in all classes with no student complaint up to now. Apart from, let's say, the blind communication, we also have some really interactive face-to-face sense of who we are. And we do that by conducting synchronous sessions. So students have opportunities either through their own demand, but also as part of our learning model to come on board through Skype or other platforms that we use and have an exchange and the face-to-face discussion with their faculty member, with the instructor. We tend to organize such events in the beginning and the end of our modules for a reason, of course. In the beginning of the course, it's important that the students meet their instructor. They get to know who he or she is. It's expectation. Here is her expectation, but also interrogate the faculty for whatever issues they might have. Well, it's also very important that they meet with the faculty at the end of the module, where when they will have to submit their final project. So questions tend to become more and more near the end of the module, and it becomes more imperative for the instructor and the students to get together. And again, there is time allocated for that purpose.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like it's a very kind of interactive experience, and the faculty is very present in the classroom, and the student has that ability to get that feedback that they need as they develop. So you've kind of talked about that engagement with the students a lot, and how faculty are expected to really get involved and get to know their students and their progress as well. So what does it take to succeed as a faculty member or as an instructor with the University of Roehampton online programs?
Well, while you were making the question, I was thinking what it takes for a student to succeed, but I guess we will have an opportunity to discuss it after this slide, possibly. Well, of course, my concern as faculty manager is to help my faculty succeed in their role. And their role is not an easy one. I have described all the difficulties of being online, of sharing time, of being there for our global students. So one thing is to be able to teach properly, to have the subject matter expertise which is necessary to support specific modules and their teaching. We don't want, for example, information system people teaching financial modules. So we make a distinction there. We only have people with relevant and pertinent expertise teaching the right module. We also want research-aware and active faculty, and that has to be maintained. We want them to produce and generate insight for their research domain continuously. Of course, we don't penalize if they don't, but we strongly encourage research, even collaborations. We, for example, we conduct webinars depending on the interest of the faculty members, where they can present their work. So this is one other area of development of our faculty members. Community building is something that I cannot maintain, preserve myself. It's something, of course, which we support fully, but it wouldn't be possible without the willingness and participation of our faculty. So everyone is part of the team. If and this is part of, let's say, the criteria of employment, that we want team players in this group. And last but not least is that we want our faculty to keep the students loyal to our programs. We, of course, one would think that we do all the favors to the students. No, that's not true. But we stick to the policies because this is really important for a British educational institution. But we make justifications, explanations for everything that we do. So we try to be rigorous in whatever we do to avoid any criticism from either from the students or from the university. So nothing really can be held against a faculty member who is fair and compliant with the university policies, because his aims are just to bring the student closer to his learning aims, and that's really important for us.
Yeah, thanks for that. And it's been really interesting to get to know how the faculty work and a little bit about the students as well. And whilst you've been talking, the Q&A has been very busy, so it's been brilliant to see lots of questions coming in. And we'll take some time to answer them. We actually don't have too much time left over, but I'll try and condense a few because there's often similar questions. One question that came in is a very good, well, it's less of a question, more of a statement, but they would be interested to hear how this adds value to me as a student, which is a good question. You know, it's kind of asking, this is, you know, the faculty, you have extensive faculty, how does that help me as a student? So any insight in there?
Well, I think for the students, it's important that they know who is in the class, who is teaching, who is teaching them. So in some cases, students are asking our names, and we of course we cannot always provide the names of our faculty. As I said, they are part of also of universities with really strong names, but we can give them the profile of our faculty. So I think our faculty is the vehicle for succeeding in this online endeavor. So that's why we put so much emphasis in keeping them constantly developed and tuned with our academic policies.
Absolutely. And quite a few questions coming in about assessment. So how is someone assessed, and is that exams, tests, that kind of thing? So can you just give us a quick overview of what someone can expect when they join the online program in terms of assessment?
Sure. I mean, University of Roehampton employs a really novel learning model, a model that is based on freedom, flexibility, but rigorousness as well. So essentially, students work together in groups divided in what we call as learning units. So each module has 6 learning units, each of them lasting for 2 weeks. So each 2 weeks window treats specific topics. During that time, students get the chance to read through specific material that resides on the platform, on their learning platform, but also participate in discussions, what we call as shared activities. through the shared activities, people get the chance to discuss with the faculty as well, get his or her insight on their own problems. So it's really important that students participate in this process. Another element of the study is that students submit what we call individual assignment at the end of this 2 weeks slot, and the faculty provides feedback on that assignment. Of course, none of them are obligatory, so one can actually study without participating, but losing the fun, losing the experience of being part of a great community of students. So this is really important. And our experience has shown that although it's not mandatory, no one does it. No one misses the opportunity of being in the class. The actual grade of the actual assessment comes at the end of the module. So at the end of the module, the student submits his final project, which is essentially a consolidation of the 6 individual assignments that he or she has submitted through the course of the module. You see that for someone who does a systematic work across the six learning units, or the 12 weeks that each module lasts, will have really no difficulty in passing a module successfully. And this is where we actually put our emphasis on trying to show the students the benefits of participating and working systematically during the 12 weeks and not leaving things for the end. Besides that, one of the principles of our learning model is be proactive. And this is one of the things that we teach our students to be as well.
Yeah, thank you there. And lots more questions coming in, and we're not going to have time to answer all of them. But we will. I think one common question that often comes up with people considering online education is the education the same as the campus? Do they receive the same certificate as a campus student, and are they invited to graduate with the campus student? So that's common questions there. So can you just quickly answer that question, and then hopefully we can have time for one more question after that.
Okay, I will try to be brief. As I said, the university is closely interwoven with our activities. So our modules are being approved and monitored by the university, by the same university faculty that teach in the campus. And sometimes our faculty are more, I would dare to say, in terms of academic prestige, better than the ones that reside in the university itself. So the university is almost everywhere in that sense. And as I said in the beginning, there is nothing to envy from studying in a classroom-based environment. The students have their own social spaces. I spoke about this in the beginning. So there is what we call as Inspirenet, where students can exchange. It's like is it a Facebook type of platform where students exchange messages, feel like being in an actual academic campus, let's say.
Yeah, so you made some important points there about that kind of feeling of being within a classroom and also within the interactive community Inspirenet, so that it's really helping people to connect with their fellow students. So I'm going to leave it there, just so we can finish up. And thank you so much for taking the time to answer those questions. So many great questions, and thank you to everyone who's asking questions. We do have enrollment advisors within the Q&A who are busy answering them, and will continue to do so. But in terms of, if you're keen to go forward and you'd like to consider a program and go that next step and join an online program that we've been talking about today, the next thing for you to do is to talk to your enrollment advisor, tell them about your intentions, send your CV, academic certificate, and proof of ID, and then they will help you to choose the right program, and really advise you on what it's like to go forward. You'll be asked to complete an application form, and then they'll help you to prepare. So joining this community that Konstantinos was talking about there, you will join SpireNet and also sign a student agreement, etc. So yeah, just get in touch with more advisor, and they'll be able to help you with more about how to go forward with Roehampton. So that just leaves me to thank you all for coming. A huge thank you to Konstantinos today for sharing such an insight into our faculty, and also a little bit about our students, and a nice example of Soji there as well. And I wish him all the success from me as a student within your classroom.
Thank you very much, Pearl.
Thank you. And for those of you who are interested in joining some of our social communities and finding out more about Roehampton online program, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pinterest. So go and have a look, go and say hello, and we look to, hopefully see you there. And again, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you taking this time out of your day to be with us and to hear about the Roehampton online faculty. And yeah, we hope to maybe one day see you in class. Thank you very much for that.
Sure. See you in class.